Last year I grew no-dig potatoes in straw for the first time. I learned from that experience, and this year I thought I would take what I learned and try to improve on it. I liked how easy they were to harvest, and I also liked the fact that you could pull back the straw and harvest just a few potatoes if you want without pulling up the whole plant. This year I started with some 10-10-10 fertilizer, mixed it into the soil, and then covered it up. In one row I planted Kennebec, and in the next row I planted some Yacon Gold. I pressed the seed potatoes down into the loosened soil, but I didn't bury them. Then I covered them all up with some partially composted straw from last year. As they grow, I'll add more straw that is now covering the bananas. For those of you who are new to the channel, we're in Zone 6B. Most people don't think of bananas when they think of our zone, but I've been able to successfully overwinter outdoors 2 different species. Those 2 are Musa Basjoo, which gets to about 12 or 13 feet in our garden, and Musa velutina, which gets to about 7 or 8 feet and has pink bananas on it. Before they produce bananas, they produce very large pink flowers, and those flowers slowly turn into bunches of bananas. The bananas really aren't edible because they're full of very hard black seeds. Here's a look at a bunch of pink bananas that we produced, and I saved seeds from these. I took that F4 Black Pearl hybrid out into the sunshine so we could get a better look at the leaves and the peppers. The peppers are black before they ripen, and then once they ripen to a very deep, dark ruby red. This one was grown indoors, and I think those very dark leaves would have been even darker if it would have been grown outside in the natural sunlight. I harvested seeds from these peppers, and I already have the F5 generation growing. I'll probably grow 1 or 2 indoors and grow the rest outdoors. I tasted a ripe one of these, and it had a unique earthy sweetness, but almost no heat at all. I also have an upright version of this pepper, and this is also an F4. It's a little easier to see the peppers on it since they're on the top. They also ripen to more of a ruby red than a bright red. I tasted one of these, and it had some sweetness also, but had quite a bit of heat. It was the kind of heat that sneaks up on you and keeps building. I would guess it's probably about twice as hot as a jalapeno. Here's a closer look at some of the peppers after I picked them. I don't have any of these sprouting yet, but I do have a few planted. So the F5 generation will be here soon. Another pepper that I like is that Oda crossed with an unknown pepper that has quite a bit of heat. I already have a couple of the F2 generation growing, and they're darker than I expected. I think this is going to be a fun project, and I already have some more planted. I've overwintered Yacon in the ground here several years in a row, and here's a look at this year's sprouts coming up already. For those of you who aren't familiar with Yacon, it's a plant that's native to South America, and it grows tubers under the ground that look kind of like potatoes, but they're sweet in taste and have the consistency of a water chestnut. Some people say they taste a little bit like a carrot, and some people say they taste a little bit like a pear. The part that grows above ground looks just a little bit like a sunflower. There are a lot of things sprouting at this time of year, and one of those things is our French sorrel. The garlic that I planted is starting to grow pretty well, and it'll be interesting to see how it compares to our fall planted garlic. I have one plant of elephant garlic growing, and that one came up by itself from some garlic that I grew a couple of years ago. Here's a look at some of our fall planted garlic and how well it did a couple of years ago. I have a lot more stuff to talk about and show you, but my microphone broke, so I'm going to have to cut this video short. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.